Hey, what's up, guys? It's Hayden.
Hey, and I'm Emma. Thank you for joining us once again for our Mandalorian Season 2 recaps. We had Episode 7 or Chapter 15 air this week. It was called The Believer. If you haven't seen this episode yet, once again, we are talking spoilers, so that is your warning. If you haven't seen the episode yet, then you're going to have things spoiled for you. So this episode, well, I think for the both of us, it wasn't our favourite episode. We still enjoyed it, of course.
Yeah, don't get us wrong. I think a lot of people hear that sentence and they think, oh, they hated it. They thought it was shit. No. It was a great episode, I think, on the level that we expect from The Mandalorian. But I think after the last two episodes that we had, which were just next level, yeah, I think this kind of went back to just, yeah, the last two episodes were here. The rest of The Mandalorian is here. So I think it's probably came back down to earth.
People can't see your hands.
I know, that was because they're that good. It was that high. I think that just came back down a little bit, kind of more along the level of like the first few episodes that we had in the season.
Look, it was,
but still very good.
It was a bit dialed back in some ways. I think there was a lot of dialogue scenes. We had a lot of character development and a lot of character arcs that happened. I think this episode really focused on that.
Yeah, and I think that's where this episode shines.
Yes. I think, and I think they need to do that every now and then. It's important to do that in storytelling. So, and I think it's just going to set us up for, just an even more epic final episode for next week. So, we will talk about the things that we liked. I don't think there's, as I said, I don't think there's anything specifically that we didn't like.
No, not at all.
It was a different kind of episode.
Yeah.
But we had Bill Burr join us again. I don't think we've seen him since episode 6.
Yep, season 1. Yep.
So it was good to see him back. And we also got Mando's face revealed again. And not covered in blood for once. It was, I think, our first time seeing him in his beautiful form.
in all his glory.
in all his Pedro glory. So, take us through.
Yeah.
What you thought.
So I think I want to touch on what you alluded to, which was the character development. So let's start there. And funnily enough, I think the character with one of the biggest arcs in this episode was actually Mayfeld, surprisingly. And it was kind of teased in the last episode that he would be coming back. And pretty much like right at the start of this episode, they're breaking him out of this New Republic prison. And they obviously need him to find Moff Gideon's cruiser. Now, he says that he needs an Imperial terminal to be able to access that information. And he says that there's one on this Imperial mining base. So that's where we're going. That's our mission for this episode. But just throughout the episode, we get this great kind of arc with Bill Burr's character. He kind of starts off as we remember him. So he's kind of wisecracking, he doesn't really care about much.
Bit of a smart ass.
Yeah, a bit of a smart ass. But some cracks start to show in his armor. And by the end of the episode, we actually see him kind of redeemed a little bit. And I think it comes down to kind of that big dialogue scene between him, Din Djarin, and an Imperial officer named Hess, I think his name was, which reminded me a lot of a scene from Inglourious Bastards.
Yes.
And it was one of those scenes, it's like the audience knows the information, but they're not sure what the characters, and especially the bad guys in the scene, they're not sure what they know. And it kind of puts us on edge a little bit. Like, oh, are they going to find out? Are they going to catch him out? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
And it just kind of helps us build that tension up. And it didn't have as much time to do that as, I guess, a Quentin Tarantino movie would. But I think it still did it justice. It still did a good job of doing that in the small time that they had to put that dialogue scene in. Because this Imperial officer is essentially kind of gloating about all the conquests of the Empire and how many people they've killed and all that. And you just see on Bill Burr's face just this anger kind of bubbling underneath the surface. And it's a look that without even saying a word, it's like, yeah, you know that he's dealing with some PTSD. You know he's kind of regretful of what he's done in service of the Empire. And that's just great filmmaking. It's great filmmaking when you don't need to say a word and you get everything across that you need to get across with just expressions, with just emotions.
Yeah.
I thought that was really well done. I thought Bill Burr did a fantastic job acting that scene. Yeah. I think Rick Famuyiwa, who directed this episode, did a fantastic job with the direction in that scene. I just thought it was probably some of the best acting we've had in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, and quite surprising coming from Bill Burr too, because he's Not
He's
normally.
he's not really an actor. He's a stand-up. And I mean, he's done a little bit of acting, but you don't expect that from him. I think that was a nice little surprise.
Yeah.
There's people actually saying that they think you stole this episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So yeah,
I mean,
props
he
to
did
Bill
a
Burr.
great job. So, I mean, that makes sense. You know, and we just had more layers peeled back on him.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah.
And that's something that I think we both really love about The Mandalorian is the character development and just, you know, how they do like to peel these layers back just gradually and they make callbacks to things that happened, you know, episodes ago or a season ago. And it's just like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, and then by the end of the episode, he pretty much destroys the Imperial base himself, you know, and they release him. So he kind of gets redeemed a little bit and opens it up to him possibly returning in a future episode.
I kind of saw that coming. I was like, that he's gonna, you know, do a good job with them. They're gonna be impressed. They're gonna be like, let's let him go, and then they'll be able to leave it open to bring him back next season.
Yeah.
If not the next, I don't think we'll see him next episode.
Not next episode.
No.
I don't think he's going to join the crew. I think it's when they take on Gideon. I think it's just going to be Mando, Boba, Fennec, and possibly Cara Dune. Yeah.
I hope we get those 4.
Yeah, at least those
that
4.
would be
Yeah,
really
I don't
cool.
think Ahsoka's going to come back. Grief. I don't know if he's exactly a warrior, so to speak. He seems like more of like a businessman, and obviously someone needs to be taking care of Navarro if Cara Dune is going to be joining them. So I think we might just get those 4, but that's a pretty good crew right there.
Don't forget, Grogu sent out that signal to the Jedi, so we may have a Jedi come.
May have a Jedi come in the mix as well. Yeah, but going back to the character development for a second, so we got that with Mayfeld. I thought that was great. But that's not to say our main characters didn't get any love. Din Djarin got some great character development as well. And through the episode, we just got to see just how much he cares about Grogu. He kind of proves just how much he cares about him. Firstly, by taking off his armor and wearing the Stormtrooper armor, which was a big step for him. Just doing that. That was a big deal. And, you know, Mayfeld gives him a bit of flack for it as well, you know, being a bit of the smart ass and the wisecrack that he is. But he needs to do that to be able to get into this Imperial base, right? And then by accessing the Imperial terminal, because Mayfeld can't, you know, there's this officer there, Hess, that he used to work for, and he's afraid that he'll get recognized. So Din Djarin actually has to be the one to access this terminal. But it can't scan through a mask. It's actually got to scan your face to check its registry, make sure you're not within your republic or an enemy of the Empire or anything like that. So he removes his helmet and scans his face. And this is like the first time we've seen Pedro since, season 1. I think it was probably the same episode in season 1, I think.
Yeah, it was towards the end. So we were due to see it again.
Yeah, and great acting by Pedro as well, because you really just see just how awkward he is without his mask on. That whole scene, like not only that, but when they sit down for their dialogue and all the way through that, you just see how awkward he
looks
is.
Uncomfortable the whole time. I mean, it probably was just an uncomfortable scenario to be in anyway because he didn't want to get, you know, caught out.
Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as that mask came off, you're just like, yeah, you see it on his face. It's unnatural for him. Like that armor is a second skin, essentially.
And again, it's just proving just how much he cares for Grogu, just what he's willing to do.
Yeah.
And also showing that he is questioning his beliefs a little bit.
Yes.
You know, he is willing to, you know, give those beliefs up. And there is this little conflict inside of him.
Yeah.
But I thought that was great. I thought that just, really proves just how much he cares for Grogu. Was just some great character development there. And then also the very end scene where we're on Moff Gideon's ship and we get this transmission from Din Djarin. And he pretty much repeats the lines that he said to Mando back in episode 7 of season 1, which is pretty much just like, you have no idea what you're in possession of. You have no idea how much he means to me. He's pretty much repeating those lines that Moff Gideon said to him. And I thought that was just like the cherry on top. Like I thought that was a really nice moment, really nice callback. And again, just kind of sets the stage for what's going to be a cracker of a final episode.
Oh my god. Mando ain't messing around.
No.
Give me back my son!
So it's on.
No, it's on. It is on. I can't wait. I'm really hoping that next episode is an hour.
Yes.
It's got to be an hour.
Yes, it has to be.
Has
Surely.
to be. They can't wrap it up in half an hour. It's just not long. So yeah, I'm really keen for that. But as well as the character development, we also had some great action scenes in this episode. The first action scene we got with the mining vehicle and the pirates reminding me a lot of this train heist sequence from old westerns, kind of bringing in those western influences again. Thought that was really well executed. Mando having to fight these guys off in stormtrooper armor without any of his gadgets, just showing just how skilled he is at hand-to-hand combat. I thought that was really well done. And then the big action scene at the end where they have to escape the Imperial base. They're shooting their way out. They've got Cara Dune and Fennec on a hill in the distance, sniping. And then Slave One coming in, picking them up. We get a cool little chase with the TIE fighters. And then Slave One releases this, I forget the technical term for it, but it's like this big kind of bomb that sounds like this massive wave of energy that just kind of wrecks these TIE fighters. A good little callback to Attack of the Clones, if you're a prequel fan. We also had some cool little world building stuff as well. So, humanizing the Empire a little bit.
Yeah.
So after they make their way into the Imperial base, they're kind of treated to this hero's welcome. And we get like this little celebration and they're patting them on the back and all that. It's a scene kind of reserved for the good guys. It's kind of reserved for like the Rebel Alliance and that. Like you don't really see that from the Empire side of things, but it just humanized them a little bit, I think.
And as an audience, it was kind of weird to be cheering for the bad guys for a second.
You're kind of glad to see them.
You were glad they showed up for the first time ever.
Yeah.
But they saved the day for... Well, I mean, they didn't know who was driving the thing, but they thought they were just helping their mates. So, they care on some level.
They think that they're fighting for the right cause.
Yeah.
Which, I think it's in shows like this, it's kind of like this underlying message, right? It doesn't matter what side you're on, you almost feel like you're fighting for the right cause. This just kind of, shed a little bit of light. It didn't kind of go too deep into it, and maybe it's something they do dive into later on, I'm not sure. I would actually really like to see something like that. Maybe not in The Mandalorian, but maybe in another property. Maybe a show diving into and focusing strictly on the Empire. I thought that could be cool.
That could be interesting.
That could be interesting. Yeah, but I think it just humanized them just a little bit, just enough. Just peeled another layer of this world, this universe, which I thought was really cool. And we also got to see a fresh-looking Boba Fett.
Which I've heard a lot of people aren't happy about.
It did take us by surprise a little bit as well, because we're used to kind of that old, run-down, scratched, dinged-up armor. And he walks out of Slave One at the beginning of the episode, and he's got this fresh coat on that's like this matte green. It took me by surprise, but I think I like it. It looks good.
It looks good. But for me, I was like, when do you have the time to do that?
Yeah. I think probably on Navarro when Mando was off talking to Cara Dune, I think he probably stopped in at the repair shop and got his armor fixed up.
You go do that, I'll go do
stopped at the servo to get Slave One fueled up.
I think I might put a ship on autopilot or something who's in the back
maybe. Yeah. But I think I like that. I think it signals like a fresh start for Boba, like a fresh moral start for him, because, he's obviously done some really bad things. And I think through his experiences in the Sarlacc pit and going so long without his armor, I think he's just relieved to have it back. And I think signaling a new start for him, a fresh start, fresh coat of paint.
I wonder too if maybe teaming up with Din Djarin has also influenced him a bit, seeing him fighting for such a cause, going after little Grogu there's so much innocence about it. I wonder if maybe just being in this situation with Din Djarin has maybe been like, oh, there is stuff out there worth fighting for, and
maybe
let's play on the good guys side for once.
Yeah, so I thought all that was really good. But I think that does it for this one. Is there anything you want to add?
No, we'll leave it there. I really did enjoy this episode overall. It was scaled back a little bit for the most part, but still a lot that happened to push our characters and the storyline. So really excited to see what happens in our season finale. Bit sad that it's all ending as well.
Yeah, didn't it go by quick?
It went so quick. It always does. But, as the saying goes, time flies when you're having fun. So really interested to see if a Jedi will be joining us seeing as little Grogu
And
put
who
out
that
his...
might be.
And who it will be, seeing as little Grogu put out his little Jedi feelers to the world.
Jedi feelers.
So let us know your
That just sounds like a creepy Jedi guy. Got my Jedi feelers here.
Jedi feelers.
My Jedi feelers.
Anyway, let us know what you thought of this episode and what your predictions are for the season finale. How do you think it's all going to wrap up?
What are your predictions?
What cliffhangers are we going to have? Drop us your comments.
Yeah, and do all that YouTube stuff as well, guys. Slam that like button if you like what we do. Hit the bell for the notifications to be notified when our next Mandalorian review drops. Subscribe to our channel to see some of our other content, including our Season 1 review. And most importantly of all, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.
See ya.